And welcome back to another episode of Can You Hear the Pod Tonight? I'm Kris.
And I'm Melody.
And we are a married couple who get together every once in a while, drink tea, and talk about Disney movies.
We do.
Melody, what are you drinking tonight?
I am just drinking an Earl Grey tea.
Basic. But
Yes.
but trustworthy.
It is very trustworthy. It's
I wasn't
very
calling you basic.
It's comforting. We need to go back to the basics sometimes.
Well, I've betrayed the format and am drinking a hot chocolate.
Yes, you just couldn't.
Because we were out of tea
Take
and we
the
went
tea
to a coffee
anyway.
shop to get tea, and instead of getting tea I thought I could get hot chocolate instead.
For shame, Kris. For shame. It's not hot
That's
Oh
chocolate.
my god,
why-
who is that?
That's why you're off tonight.
Whose voice is that? Oh, that's right, we have a guest. Our first guest on the podcast. Everyone welcome Zak Straus. Yay!
Hello there.
Welcome.
I am honored to be your first guest.
All the way from sunny California.
Oh yeah, we're just getting through a really fun heat wave.
Oh,
Oh,
great.
no.
But
What are you talking about, Zach? It's October. It's spooky month. It's fall weather.
yeah. Well, some of the leaves outside my apartment are kind of turning orange or dying.
Oh, that's just, yeah, that's what happens in California. Things turn yellow, but it's just because they're dying.
But I did dress for the occasion. I do have my tea.
Oh, okay. Well, you're supposed to drink your tea, not wear your tea.
Okay,
That's kind of
yeah.
strange.
It was a play on words. It is hot cinnamon spice, Kris.
Oh, very nice.
I think his beats our beverages. That just sounds very delicious.
That does sound very delicious. Do you have a little?
Harney and Sons.
Okay. Do
Which
you have a
we,
little saying on your tea tag there?
No, it just says Harney and Sons. Oh God, I can't read this.
I think only the,
Yeah,
the
I can't
OG.
read the print below that. It's too small. But it's the tea brand that we sell. We used to sell, or they probably still sell it at Barnes and Noble, where Kris and
Oh my god.
where Kris and I met.
Oh my god, I forgot all about all of the tea that we used to sell.
Yeah, dude.
And when it would go bad, we would just take it all home and drink it.
You drink bad tea.
Well, when it would expire,
It was still good. It was still good.
It was still
Okay,
good. We could
that's-
Yeah,
it's still
we
sealed.
loaded up, and now I
Yeah.
get that tea at World Market.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Do you miss any of the perks of working at Barnes and Noble? Not that there were many.
I mean, the Criterion sales and all that stuff. You know, any of the Blu-ray stuff was always good. Getting half off in the cafe was fun for a while until I ate everything ad nauseum, and it just I was over.
Yeah.
Um,
At a certain point, you're like, I don't really want this anymore.
yeah, I don't need this broccoli cheddar quiche anymore. It's just making me sad.
Yeah. Well, what we do usually at this podcast is talk about Disney movies. But Zach, I want to get more in depth into your history.
Okay.
So usually we talk about our history with specific movies, but before we get there, let's have more of a proper introduction. So, because we're all adults here,
Yes.
but it's fair to say we're movie fans.
Mhm.
And as far as me and Melody goes, we're probably, I guess, at least soft Disney fans, to where we will throw in a Disney movie every now and then. Like
Yeah,
random
I
Disney
would
movies.
say so.
So even though we don't have children, we still pretty much
When the mood's
consistently
right.
when the mood's right, when the mood strikes
We're
us.
still very nostalgic for our childhood.
Yeah, I think so.
We're
yeah.
millennials, guys. That's just part of our DNA.
Right.
It
So
is.
would you consider yourself in that same vein too? Do you still watch Disney movies on occasion?
Oh yeah, I got Disney Plus. I mean, I watch the cartoons. Yeah. I mean, I don't find myself throwing on Snow White and stuff as much as
Sure.
I'd like to, but I
Me
would, But
Right.
I host a horror podcast, so unfortunately,
Mhm.
I have to spend a large part of my time watching shitty horror movies. Sorry, I shouldn't have cursed
Oh,
on
yeah,
your
yeah.
podcast.
That's okay.
This is a Disney show. I spend a
We may-
large.
We may or may not bleep you. I don't know.
I
We'll see.
spend a large part of my time watching not the best quality horror movies, so I don't get to partake in some great Disney classics like we were talking about today, but I do enjoy it, so I'm looking forward to talking about our feature today.
Right. Well, hey, I did attend a Q&A one time for Suspiria with Dario Argento, and he said the number one influence on Suspiria was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Oh,
Okay.
that explains why I liked it so much.
Yeah,
I thought you were gonna say the Aristocats, and I was like, really? The
Dario
Aristocats?
No, I thought you were about to introduce what we were going to talk
Dario,
about.
So
most people
confused.
don't know this. Most people don't know this. Dario Argento, huge Aristocats fan.
I was like, how is
Can't
that?
get enough of
How
it.
does that follow? What?
Well, I
No,
guess
Aristocats was
Oh,
a huge
man.
influence on
the
Phenomena.
cat's out of the bag, so to speak.
it is.
What we're talking about.
Boom. I mean, if people clicked on the episode, they probably know what we're gonna watch anyway.
Well, still, I mean, somebody could have. Anyway.
No. But yeah, so yeah, it would probably be, and you have roommates too, Zach. So it would probably be weird if like one of them walked in one afternoon and you were just like sitting on your bed watching Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. But
Oh yeah, well, one roommate, and that wouldn't
Eating
happen.
an apple.
We keep apart from each other.
oh, okay.
It's
You're
one of those
separate.
things. It's one of those things.
So if he hears, the sound of a Disney movie coming from your room, he's not going to say anything to you.
No, well, we
That's
pass each other in the hall, and it's a very. So
Yeah, don't look at each other in the eyes.
It's funny.
Yeah.
we
Don't
communicate
make eye
in
contact.
one word, in separate words,
Sometimes
singular
in grunts.
words. Yeah, in grunts.
That's fine. Sometimes me and Melody spend hours together and only communicate in little like,
It's true. And sometimes the dog throws one in too.
yeah.
She
dog
starts
will go,
making the
"Yeah."
same noises.
We've gone beyond words at this point, I think.
That's
Well, today we are talking about, one of the Disney canon, some consider it a classic, the Aristocats from 1970.
yes,
I do believe.
yes, you're right.
So, Zach,
Mm.
I guess since you're the guest, I'll ask you first. What's your experience with the Aristocats?
I thought I'd seen it once, but I think I was thinking of Oliver and Company.
Oh no.
So
You
I
had
don't
the
know
wrong-
if
you had the wrong movie in
I
mind.
don't know if I've seen it. I've seen the Aristocrats, which is a very different movie.
That is a very different movie.
um,
That is a documentary about a really filthy joke.
for a completely different audience. But Aristocats, I certainly know it. I've known of it. I just don't know if I've seen it. I feel like I must have when I was a little kid because I owned a lot of the soft shell Disney animated classic VHSs. I had a bunch of them, like Snow White, a lot of those. So I don't know if the Aristocats was one of them though. I honestly don't remember.
Not sure. It could have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear that from some people because like some people had the clamshells. Some of them had. I know I had like a few that were recorded off of TV with like commercials and everything, and sometimes that was like a better experience just having the commercials. But Melody, what's your experience with the
What the
Aristocats?
hell? I don't know. I thought like he wanted to watch it.
Okay, you can talk about how much you
No,
know you love this movie.
I had a great time.
Okay,
with
I'll
this.
say that no, like when I was probably in elementary school, I really did like Aristocats. I probably
Okay.
watched it a lot. Just
Mhm.
because I enjoyed the cartoons and like the cats, anything with the animals, like I would gravitate towards.
Mhm.
So it was mainly about just looking at the art and the
Yeah,
fanciness of the cats.
the fanciness of the
Yes,
fancy
they were
piece.
the aristocratic fancy beast. Yes, the cats and then the humor. I feel like we were talking about this earlier. It's like the dogs, pretty much like they could have made a whole movie just about the dogs.
They practically do.
They
These
were
dogs
like
take over
the
movie.
funnier part of the whole thing. Was the most entertaining part was the dogs.
Yeah.
The cats were just kind of like frou and just like a
But you watched this one. You watched this one like multiple times growing up because you were telling me as we
probably
were
in
watching
like
it.
first and second grade.
Yeah.
I
This
feel
is
like it does cater to that age because it's like about like kittens and their mom and
Yeah.
like their relationship with their mom is like protecting them and brothers, sister, like sibling rivalry.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that little.
And there's 3 of them, and you were
That's
one
true.
of 3.
Yes, we had 3. In my
You had 2
family.
siblings.
We did. So maybe that's. Yeah, the age, like
I'm
very
trying to,
young
like,
kid. I can see this.
I'm trying to
movie
play
relating
psychologist here and then like determine where the
I mean, I
connection goes. But you were saying-
I was gonna say I have 2 siblings and I didn't watch it a lot, so I didn't. It's just to be counterpoint there. But
well, sometimes these Disney movies, sometimes it's weird how they fall into people's rotations. I think sometimes they just don't like. I feel like Sword in the Stone was probably one I watched a lot, but like it wasn't one that I owned or necessarily watched a ton.
Really, you didn't own it, but you managed to watch it a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we just
because it was on TV.
Oh, okay.
And it was like
we didn't have cable. My parents were just kind of like, this is what we have, these movies,
right.
And maybe occasionally we'll go rent something or get a movie from the library, but
right, yeah. I mean, I spent a lot of time in the video store at the same time.
Yeah, do my rotation. I guess I'm thinking of like my young childhood. Like
yeah.
When I got older, of course,
Yeah. I mean, I've heard. That's not uncommon. I've heard stories of people who grew up and they were like, we had like 5 VHS tapes, and that's literally the only movies we watched, and we just watched those 5 movies over and over again.
That's what it felt like, honestly.
I just want to picture you like going to the VHS store with your buddies and be like, dude, let's watch some Aristocats, man.
Yeah, we get some Aristocats. But no, I agree with you that I think this movie does sort of like appeal to younger audiences, and maybe that's why I didn't really connect with it. Because I may not have seen this until I was probably like 7 or so, and by that time I'm like, this might be too old. I might be too old for this now.
Well, I think I did notice like some of the borrowed animation in this. I don't think I was like looking at the screen when the jazz scene was happening, but like the mom cat, like the way she dances, it kind of like has the same look as in Robin Hood whenever they're in the forest dancing. And like,
literally
Lady
took
Marian.
animation from that sequence, I believe. Actually, I might be backwards because I think Robin Hood. No, wait. I think Robin Hood actually comes after this film.
Oh,
so I think Robin Hood actually uses the animation from Aristocats.
It is from the same director who Wolfgang Reitherman, who did apparently eight consecutive Disney animated features from 1961 to 1981. So from like 101 Dalmatians to Fox and the Hound.
Yeah.
He did, Sword in the Stone, Jungle Book, a bunch of Winnie the Pooh stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was an
pretty much the post-wall era.
Yeah, he was an animation director on Pinocchio and Peter Pan and Alice in Wonderland, so he was Mr. Disney for a while.
Well, yeah, he was. Wolfgang Reitherman was one of the 9 old men, and really kind of like one of the more senior animators there. And this is the first Disney film that really went into production after Walt died in the kind of later 60s. So Jungle Book was in production. I think Walt died in the middle of the production of the Jungle Book, so that was released. But then when they started this movie, they really, and I read a little bit about this, they were kind of like, what do we do? Like, we don't have anyone to sort of like approve anything. Yeah. And I think Wolfgang Reitherman really stepped up and took charge of the situation as far as like making decisions and pulling punches. That being said, though, it does feel like a mix of movies that have come before. Like, it feels like a little bit of Lady and the Tramp, a little bit of, I don't know, I'm trying to think of other stuff.
Well, you were noticing like the animation where like all those pencil lines were like going crazy.
Yeah, well, it's a little bit of like 101 Dalmatians with the cute little kid animals to get that cuteness factor in there. It's a little bit of Lady and the Tramp just in like the story and how we have like
Mr. O'Malley,
a wealthy like pet cat who's like very an inside animal. And then Thomas O'Malley, who's like a stray. He's very much the tramp kind of character. And then voiced by Phil Harris, who did Baloo from the Jungle Book. So it has that sort of same element of stuff from the Jungle Book of incorporating like sort of like jazz music, or at least like kind of a 60s jazz flair. This definitely feels like the most 60s-ish Disney movie, I think.
Yeah.
Which is funny because it's set in like 1910.
Which it had a warning or before we watched the movie.
Most of these Disney movies that we watch on Disney Plus now come with a little like a trigger warning at the beginning.
Oh yeah, the racial stereotype thing. Which I was curious when that came up, and I was like, in Aristocats, what could it be? And then when it happened, which we can get into later, I was like, oh right, okay.
Oh yeah, it's pretty quick, but.
Oh,
it was which is another thing that carries over from Lady and the Tramp because they had the same type of
racism towards Asian people.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that was. There's an interesting story behind the actor who voiced that cat, Paul Winchell.
Oh, okay.
So
he sounded familiar.
A very white man.
Oh,
very talented. I mean, he's a comedian, ventriloquist. He had his own show for a while, but he is an inventor, and he's the first person to build and patent a mechanical artificial heart that's implantable in the chest cavity. So,
oh my gosh!
So the guy that voices the racist Siamese cat that plays piano and bongos with chopsticks invented a mechanical artificial.
So yin and yang
for the resume.
Yeah.
Yin and yang. You commit acts of hate in the world, and then you give back.
Whoever animated that just watched Breakfast at Tiffany's and was like, yeah, that.
This is fine. Yeah.
But I honestly, besides the racism, I thought this was a really cute movie. I gotta say, the theme song, what a banger. That was
from the very beginning.
Yeah, the Aristocats. I'm not going to sing. I will not torture your audience. But it was so cute. Accent. It was so cute. Oh no, I'm not, I am part French, but I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, that is a really cute song.
It was really cute. I loved that opening sequence.
Yeah, I was listening to a little bit of behind the scenes stuff on this too, and that was, I think, one of the songs that was written by the Sherman Brothers, which we talked about on our last episode. The Sherman Brothers, who did a lot of the music for Mary Poppins, and they did Sword in the Stone as well. They came in and did a few songs for this, and apparently about some of their songs were thrown out, and some new songs were written by other people that wanted to incorporate more of that sort of like Everybody Wants to Be a Cat.
Yes,
wanted to incorporate more of a new jazzy feel to it, and they were kind of offended by that, and then ended up leaving Disney. But I mean, Walt Disney wasn't around anymore, so they probably didn't have as much of a reason to stick around. But yeah, they were writing that song, and they were like, "Oh yeah, it should have this like French flair to whoever sings it." And they were like, "Well, who's going to sing it?" And they were like, "Well, obviously it's going to be Maurice Chevalier. It's got to be Maurice Chevalier. Who else could it be?" So Maurice Chevalier actually came out of retirement to sing this song. So he had been in retirement for a while. So that's pretty cool.
It was funny you were saying, like, is there any cats in this movie that are actually French or like characters? Yeah. Well, because like the dogs were speaking in like
American Southern accents.
Yes. The geese were British.
Yeah. Which they acknowledge.
At least they acknowledge it, yeah.
We've come all the way from London.
So there's a moment where our cats, once they get back to Paris, they have two geese accompany them, Abigail and Amelia, and they're going to meet their Uncle Waldo outside a Le Petit Cafe, and they find him, and Uncle Waldo is drunk AF.
And because
he was basted in white wine by.
They like didn't even like bother like
basted. He's marinated. That was my favorite joke in the movie.
Yeah, those are jokes that I did not get as a kid.
Oh no,
was that like
whenever? Yeah.
I'm sorry, Melody. Go for it.
No, you're fine. I just remember like as a kid like watching certain Disney movies, and like they would say certain phrases that like I didn't get, but I was just like, I guess that's just a word, but it didn't bother.
It just would go over your head.
Yeah, like whenever he walks away, we love Uncle Waldo, especially when he's been marinated, and I was like, oh, like that's like it was like an abstract word to me as a child.
I'm wondering, is that like is that the first drunk Disney like cartoon character?
No.
Who's the first?
Probably Dumbo.
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 If we're counting,
like actually alcohol, like.
Well, in Pinocchio, which is number 2, the second like feature Disney film, Pinocchio goes to Pleasure Island, and there's scenes of them smoking in a pool hall, and he's drinking what is clearly beer.
Oh, okay.
Right.
I've heard that in the remake they change it to root beer. They make it specifically root beer.
Of course.
But no, there's a scene in Dumbo where Dumbo gets like wasted, and then that's where the whole pink elephant
is that when he's
sequence
oh
comes
you're
from.
Right, does he like hiccup in that scene? Am I like thinking
he like hiccups, and then he blows these bubbles that turn into the elephants, which is actually a really really awesome sequence. But it's funny that it comes from a scene where baby Dumbo gets drunk.
It's horrible.
But that was a really funny sequence.
It's a very it's a slight like Disney story, but it's very like cute and well told. I think it's interesting, the setup here. So we have these 4 cats, Toulouse, Marie, Berlioz, who kind of gets the shaft later in this movie and is sort of forgotten about. And then their mom, Duchess. and so their owner, Madame Adelaide Bonfamille,
Adelaide, yeah.
I probably butchered that. So she has this really funny her lawyer. Who is just like
George.
bumbling, also probably inebriated fool that loves to dance, or at least he's smoked something.
Not as spry as when he was 80.
Like, I used to do this when I was 80. Or
not as spry as when I was 80.
Yes, that's what he said.
One of the other better characters in this movie. So she's like telling him about like her will, and she wants to leave everything to her cats. And so the butler overhears this, that he's not going to get anything until these cats are gone.
Okay.
And to be fair, he's right to be upset. Like, I totally understand.
Yeah, oh no, yeah, we talked about that too. Yeah.
Like he's in the right here, but the way he goes about getting rid of the cats, not cool.
Yeah, it's weird
he had
too
just
because
used his like deduction skills.
Yeah.
Like, like the cats aren't going to live, but he was like, they have 9 lives.
they'll live forever.
Yeah.
But well, it's funny because at the beginning, it almost seems like he's like a good guy and like he smiles.
He likes the cats.
You know? But as soon as they become an obstacle, he's like, "Well, gotta kill him. Too bad."
Yeah.
But also, I was thinking like, okay, so let's say she does leave her estate to these cats, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously, the cats are not going to make decisions about
The
what
cats
the money
aren't going to
goes.
like cash in the.
So surely Edgar would be, like the one actually making the decisions and things. So it doesn't seem like that bad of a situation, but it's a cartoon. It's fine. He has the right to be mad, for sure.
When the mouse comes into the scene, Roquefort, did you know right away that was like Winnie the Pooh? Because like right away I was Winnie the Pooh.
I'm a huge Sterling Holloway fan.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make a band and call it Sterling and the Holloways.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
No, he's not only Winnie the Pooh, he's Kaa the snake from Jungle Book. He's the stork in Dumbo.
Cheshire Cat.
Legend. Cheshire Cat and also Wonderland. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, yeah. As soon as I heard that voice, I was like, there he is.
Yeah, this is a pretty game cast. Eva Gabor is Duchess. We have Scatman Crothers, who plays the Scat Cat, Halloran in The Shining.
I noticed that at the beginning. Yeah. I did not realize that. Mm-hmm.
Fitting that his nickname is Scatman, which I did not realize.
And he plays Scat Cat.
Yeah.
Appropriately.
Mm-hmm. Man, I gotta say the backgrounds in this movie are really gorgeous. Like all the Parisian Parisian landscapes and the nature, like the lake and everything. It was just so beautiful to look at. Everything from the cafe to the cityscapes. It was just man, I missed that animation.
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting because this is like very deep into the sort of like the animation that's very pencil sketchy. And when I was pointing this out to you about how like if you look at the Madame Adelaide's like hair, it's like pencil scratches are going crazy. Like it almost looks like Charlie Brown, where there's just like a different pencil sketch every second with every frame.
It's weird seeing it in like 4K like HD or whatever, like on Disney Plus. Like I want to see how it looked like when it was in theaters originally, like on film. Yeah, kind of just for comparison's sake, and like what the probably animators intended it to look like, because it looks good, but it's like in that crystal clear picture, it's like it's weird.
I think I noticed it whenever Edgar was like making the soup or whatever.
Yeah,
his like lines. Skin. Yeah, well, his skin just looked weirdly darkened, like almost retouched.
The lines on them like can change between shots almost too.
Yeah. I mean, the backgrounds are gorgeous, but like the characters and stuff, I mean, they still look great, but like it's just weird to see them in like HD when clearly they weren't like intended for that when they were created. So it's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I think this era is kind of thought of as being like, as far as animation quality goes, like not the strongest era, like sort of like the weaker, I guess, thought of era. But I think the animation is still
all those backgrounds, man.
Really,
which is interesting that was the era that I feel like I gravitated towards as a kid, because I liked the Robin Hood. I liked
100 Wind Dalmatians.
Yes, those are all the ones.
Yeah, it's just a different style of kind of animation, and I think it's kind of found its niche and its place in history. But at the time, it was just always being compared to the Cinderellas and Pinocchios, like that very clean sort of like line, very like painterly kind of look to it. But no, I think it does. It's especially the backgrounds, like you were saying, are beautiful. I guess I just wasn't like super big on this movie growing up, and I think even when I got a little bit older, like I've softened on it more now. But I think even like if you had asked me probably like 10 or so years ago, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's one of the worst ones. Just because I think I wasn't so like caught up in the story, which to be fair, it's a very like sort of like lazy kind of casual.
It's a minor story.
Yeah, for sure.
It's Disney going to their, find their way back home well, and I'm wondering like how many kind of before that had they done this, because I look at the story and I'm like, I feel like if they did this today, the mom certainly wouldn't be with those like the kids. They would be separated like 100%.
Oh,
and I found that like interesting because they always have that security blanket with this, so it never feels like they're really in peril on their journey back home.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's
there's Edgar is kind of the antagonist, but he's only like at the beginning and then at the end, and there's no real obstacles along the way, really.
And he's very bumbling antagonist. He never, like, he's being chased by these two hounds throughout the movie, and
which take up like a quarter of the movie. I think you can tell too that this is very much directed by a group of animators who specialize in sequences. Like they're not really like Walt Disney, for all of his faults, could like craft a story. I think like he knew how to like drag you along, make you care about characters, get you invested in what's going on. And I think these animators were more like, okay, let's have like a 20-minute sequence where it's just like these hilarious dogs like chasing around this bumbling butler, and it'll be fun. So it's like much more kind of like that. I think is the strength of this movie, is just having this sort of like smaller set pieces. But those two dogs are really, really funny. I remember watching this movie with my dad when I was younger, and him like getting a kick out of those characters.
And they have some good lines too.
Mm-hmm. Where's my baby by basket? And that voice actor who does like the larger dog, the hound, he was like I know he's in Robin Hood. I think he also shows up in Back to the Future 3 as like one of like the cowboys in the saloon. Because I remember watching Back to the Future 3 and being like, I know that voice.
I know Gary Dubbin, who played Toulouse, sadly passed away a few years ago, but he was in Jaws 2. He was like one of the teenagers that's killed by the shark. Like,
oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Wow, what a career!
Yeah, but rest in peace.
Oh yeah, 'cause I think we also noticed those voices of the kittens kind of sounded like characters
like
from Robin Hood.
Yeah, like one of the little boy kittens sounded like the one that wins the kiss from Lady
Gaga. The rabbit.
Yes.
Man, Marie was crushing hard on O'Malley, man. She liked her some O'Malley.
Yeah.
She's like, do I have eyes that sparkle like sapphire?
It's like he's about to be your stepfather. This is gonna be inappropriate.
Yeah, she was pushing hard for that.
Well, I realized, sometimes I'll just like quote random things, Disney things throughout the day.
Right,
like sometimes when we take Lydia on a walk and she's like being really obstinate, I'll be like, I'm the leader. I'll say when it's time to go.
I did like Edgar. I do think they could have squeezed a little more like humor out of him, like giving him a bit more of a personality besides just kind of bumbling, generic sort of villain.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that he realizes after he's gotten back to the house and everything, he realizes, I left my umbrella and my hat and everything. And it's like, dude, you didn't even find out what happened to the cats. Like he just loses them, and then it's just like, well, they're gone, I guess.
And Madame is just sort of like a nothing kind of character. She like it's funny like at the end of the movie, after the cats have been saved and Edgar has been sent on his way in a trunk, she like could like care less that Edgar's gone. She's like, well, too bad he's not here.
She really did not give a crap about him. Yeah.
No questions about where the hell he is. Just he's gone.
Oh, and he's definitely dead too. We talked about that. Like he's in a trunk that's headed to Timbuktu in 1910.
Yeah, very far away.
That's gonna take weeks to get there. He's got no food, no water. He's gonna die. That's dark.
Yeah.
At some point we're gonna have to create a rating of like worst Disney villains demises.
Yes. That's a
and
good
see
idea.
who gets it the worst, essentially, because so many of these Disney villains
It's gonna
just
have to be
fall off cliffs.
some of the older, yeah.
All right, so if they did a remake of this, guys, like a live action remake, who would you cast? Don't say.
If
Oh,
what are
they
you
doing?
talking about? They are definitely.
Are
I
they?
don't know. They haven't announced it yet, but you know that it's got to be in the works at some point.
Don't say Chris Pratt.
Oh no, that definitely would happen.
He would totally be O'Malley too.
he would.
I just
Now that you've said it, I
just
can't
spoke that
imagine
into
anyone else
existence,
back.
didn't I?
You pretty much did. Yeah. Well, I don't know because like I can't remember who was in the Lady and the Tramp remake, but it definitely because that movie was like straight to Disney Plus, and no one cared about it. It definitely feel like
I didn't see it.
I think this was what would happen with the Aristocats since it's not like Lion King level of beloved as a movie. They would just like make a quick cash grab remake and then put it on Disney Plus.
It's nice to watch an animated movie with with a cast that's known for like their voiceover work and not, Kevin Hart as Roquefort,
Oh my gosh.
Right. Well, Phil Harris was definitely a name.
Oh yeah,
in
I mean,
the 60s.
Some of them are certainly name actors, but I guess and maybe back in the day it was the same kind of thing. But for someone like me watching it now who is familiar with some of the names, but not to the extent that a Chris Pratt or someone who's just in everything.
Right.
Obviously, Eva Gabor was a huge name.
Was Eva Gabor in Nightmare on Elm Street 3?
I don't know.
Quick, we gotta call Casey. He would know this. It's his favorite movie of all time.
Yeah. Like, this is becoming like a mashup of the horror podcast and the Disney podcast.
No, I don't think so. From what I can tell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it was Zsa Zsa Gabor.
There is a Zsa Zsa Gabor. Yeah, she was in Elm Street.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thinking of Zsa Zsa Gabor. All right.
Different Gabor.
I definitely thought that Eva Gabor and Zsa Zsa Gabor were the same person.
Yeah.
And I was shocked to find out they are not the same person.
Yeah, anyway, it was just nice to this is a cast full of like talented voice actors, and it's always great to see that. And I hope they more modern animated movies can go back to that trend. But yeah.
You wish.
So yeah, a live action remake of this. I don't know. I would hope they would expand the story a little bit and add some more kind of sequences and some more threats to the kittens, just to kind of spice up the tension a little bit.
Yeah, that would definitely be probably in the writer's room if they were discussing what to do with this.
Yeah,
because I think I really like the geese. They really I think prop up the middle of this movie, but replace it with some sort of actual threat.
I guess
or something.
because the cats, they never meet those two dogs out in the.
No.
They could have had something with them running into those dogs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be a threat, but it would probably be a comical threat. Probably.
Yeah.
But I feel like they need another a Shere Khan or a really nasty kind of ferocious
like a alley dog
or
maybe that's another reason I feel like this movie kind of
Coyote or something
towards really little kids.
Yeah, it does.
Was because there's cute animals. There's no there's nothing scary in it. There's no scary villain or threat. The closest you get is just that scene where they're stuck in a rainstorm right when they get captured, and they're like, "Oh no!"
And even their little spiced soup or drugged soup even looks delicious. He's dunking that cracker in it. I'm
yeah.
I was like, why does that look good right now?
I'll drink that poison. It looks delicious.
This is such a cozy movie, though. It's so it was really adorable. Besides the Siamese cat, the unfortunate Siamese cat. But I really had fun watching it. So I approve of your pick, Melody.
Okay.
Sweet. Well, Melody, how do you feel about it now that you're an adult?
How you're asking me. Honestly, I feel really bad because I feel like I was distracted watching it tonight.
Well, I felt almost like you were on autopilot. I've seen this movie 100 times. I'm good.
Basically, yeah. Well, because I was just fixated on my other drawing things that I'm doing right now, and I was like.
But you were still quoting it.
That's true. Yeah, I was still quoting it.
Honestly, I rewound things 10-15 seconds a bunch of times and paused it a bunch of times because I was getting ready for bed, and this is gonna sound weird, so I cracked open a beer while watching this.
You and Uncle
Cracked open
yeah.
a beer.
Waldo,
watched
yeah.
Yes,
I had a Golden Road. I was having one of those days. I was like, I need a beer. I recommend watching Aristocats with a beer. It's a good time.
Oh, we should have done that.
This
Or sherry wine.
there was another thing that I almost forgot that I wanted to mention because it just made me feel like, oh man, like I think this movie is totally like cute. I've come back around on it. I think like I used to kind of be like more like meh, Aristocats, meh, but I definitely like appreciate it more. I think now for its artistic quality. But there was a part where there's a scene and it's towards the end where I think it's the mouse is running back to the house and leading the cats, and they run.
That scene is great.
They run by a Parisian man drinking a bottle of wine, and of course he sees this, and of course he immediately pours out the bottle of wine. I'm like, well, if that isn't in every comedy in the 1960s and 70s, then I don't know what is.
That was a great. That was one of my favorite moments too.
By the books.
Oh, so good.
All right. Well, Zak, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
On our podcast here. We're going to have you on again for
Sure,
a movie that you've seen and probably feel like a stronger attachment to in the future.
We keep doing movies that don't have strong attachments. Like Sword in the Stone.
We'll mix it up. We'll mix it up. I have feelings about Sword in the Stone.
You have feelings.
I don't mind that. It was nice to watch something completely removed from the horror genre for once. So
yeah, we don't do enough Disney films on our horror podcast. So
we did do a episode on scary in quotes Disney TV movies, which was pretty fun.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was enjoyable. We got to do something else like that soon. Should
I plug the podcast that you're on?
Go for it. Go for it. I don't, and Lord knows I don't.
So if you'd like to hear Kris some more and Melody, she was on an episode recently talking about Stranger Things season 4 volume 2 and the Black Phone. You can check out another miserable podcast, Horror Decomposed. You can find it on our website, anothermiserablepodcast.com. We talk about horror movies and pop culture and all that sort of stuff. Good times. We do reviews and retrospectives. Kris is one of our co-hosts along with my buddy Casey. And we have fun guests like Melody every once in a while, and she will definitely be back on as well. But yeah, make sure to check out our website, anothermiserablepodcast.com. We're on basically all the streaming services. You can also find
Unlike this podcast, which is only on YouTube.
You can also find us on YouTube. Subscribe to us there for episodes. And I actually uploaded our first YouTube short, Kris. So, yeah, it was. I went to a haunt the other day called Reign of Terror out here in Thousand Oaks, and I was really into it. So I recorded a little short and put it up on all my social medias. And I was like, I'm gonna put it on our YouTube page, and so
do it. Nice.
So, and if you want to follow my personal Twitter account, twitter.com/earth2zak, the number 2 Zak, Z-A-K. You can also follow me on Instagram and Letterboxd. And then I don't think I plugged our podcast Twitter account, so that's twitter.com/AMP horror. Sorry, that's enough plugging.
I'll put all those links in the description of this video. So we'll have that very handy for you. All right, Zak. Well, now you've got me thinking about what Disney movies Casey could possibly come on and talk about.
There's something there for sure.
So there's got to be something. We got to do at least something vaguely spooky for the end of October.
We should.
So
you could do a Sleepy Hollow episode.
Oh my gosh, how did I forget about that one? All right, well, I think we just gave away what our next episode might be.
You got to do that one, dude. Absolutely.
All right,
but thank you so much for having me on. This was a blast, and I love you guys. So it was a pleasure to be your first guest.
Aww. Yay. All right, well, my tea's gone cold. So until next time, viewer.
Peace out.